Hey y'all, it's Coach in the Fight here. Wanted to share something with you concerning Leviticus 23 feast for the year of 2018. Wanted to pull out these dates. I saw something, kind of cute at the end and I'll show that with you. But before we get into it, I want to make sure I give the Father praise and honor for having left His word here for us. It's so complete. It has so much detail in it, and I just want to give Him praise for it because, without it, none of us are really, would amount to much, and I know that's for myself. I owe everything I am to the scripture. So with that, let me jump into these Leviticus 23 feasts. Now, I'm not going to do a full chapter study like we usually do. It's just about, 7 or 8 verses that I wanted to touch on and show you the dates that are corresponding with these feast days. Now, if you're not familiar with these feast days, let's start here right here in verse 1. He says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying." Now, if we're here in Leviticus 23, which of course is after the book of Exodus, where we find in chapters, I think it's 20 in the book of Exodus, that the people, the multitude of people, um, made a decision that Moses would be their spokesman, that Moses would go in and do all the talking for them. And that's why the Lord has to talk to Moses. And then Moses goes on and tells the people. And what does he tell them? He says, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying unto them concerning the feast of the Lord." Now, I'm bringing this out. I don't want to go into much detail. This is about the dates. But these are the feasts of the Lord. Now, you know about other feasts of man, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. Those are man's feasts. Well, here in Leviticus 23, we're talking about the Lord's feast. Some of these you've heard of, some of these you may not have heard of, and we're not going to talk about all of them. We're just going to talk about the ones that fall in the fall, which the ones that are coming up, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Now, holy convocation is kind of a big event, kind of a get together. Even these are my feasts. Now, he inserts this part about the Sabbath day, but I want you to notice here something what he says. He says, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Notice he doesn't call it a feast. And some people do consider it a feast day and they say that there are eight, but no, this is included in here because it is talking about dates and times and such. So um, it does fit in here, even though it does kind of stick out like a sore thumb. But he corrects us back here, verse 4. He gets us back on verse 4 because he says, "These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations which ye shall proclaim." Now, he's separating between a Sabbath day, which is not necessarily a feast. You treat it like a feast, but it's not necessarily a feast. But we have 7 separate ones, all right? I'm getting into too much detail here on it. Now, I do want to skip down. Now, right here in verse 5, he starts talking about Passover. Now, you heard about Passover. That was way back in the spring when everybody else was doing Easter and such. That's when we were doing Passover. But I want to come down to the fall feast. Skipping over Pentecost, skipping over the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and skipping over first fruits all the way down here to 24. Now you can stop and you can go back and read those other ones if you want to. But I want to get down to 24. It says, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the seventh month." Now this brings a lot of confusion for people because when they think of seventh month, they think of July. But you have to remember that we're on a separate calendar here in Leviticus, and all throughout the Bible, you're on a whole new calendar. The calendar that we go by as far as our work schedule and our school schedules, that is a Gregorian calendar who, was signed off by King Gregory long time after, after the Messiah walked the earth and well long after this was even talked about. The calendar on our walls is a new calendar is what I'm saying. This is the first calendar that he's talking about where this feast fell in the seventh month. And it fell in the seventh month on the first day of the month. Now there are other classes. There is another class where I showed you how we calculate the date using the U.S. Naval Observatory, using the moon, using different stuff, how we actually find out exactly when these dates are. And I'm not going to do that here. I've already done that. I've already proved that they match up this year. They don't always match up this year, but they do match up this year. And let me go over here and show you where it is. If you put in the word Rosh Hashanah, which means the memorial of the blowing of trumpets, that trumpet day, you see that it falls on September the 9th, Sunday, September the 9th. This is confirmation because it always falls on Sunday. right? Not it's not the only confirmation. Like I said, we did a very intensive search. You can look up that class where we do the calculations, and we do them all the time because we have to verify that they do match up. They don't always match up. You can come in here some years and you'll look, and Rosh Hashanah or the Trumpets or Yom Kippur will be on dates that don't match up with the lunar dates here in Leviticus. It says on the first day of the month you shall have a Sabbath day, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. Now, I don't want to get into much detail on this. I plan on doing another class where we talk about the details of such, but this is the memorial blowing of trumpets today. This is when we kind of signify that we're in the fall season. We're at the beginning of the forget which year it is. Is this the harvest year or the sacred year? I can't remember, but it is a new year for Israel, and this is kind of when it's signified. They didn't have a calendar. They had the moon to go by, so what they would do is send the priests out to verify that there was a new moon, and when they saw it, they started blowing trumpets, and that was that one. Now let's go down to the next one. Here's on 27, we're talking about a whole nother feast. Now, this one is on the 10th day of the 7th month. Now, it's kind of interesting that the root word of September is 7. SEPT is a root word for 7, just like OCT for October is for 8, and just like NOV for November is 9, and DEC for December is 10. I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of telling us that it is the 7th month, even though we look at our calendar, it says the 9th month. Well, when we're looking for the 10th day of the 7th month, which it should be the Day of Atonement, what day do we find? Come over here and you could put in Day of Atonement, it'll give you the same answer. I'll put in Yom Kippur and it gives the same answer. But it's on Tuesday, September the 18th. Now that's when it starts. I want to go back to show you this one here too. It starts on September the 9th, and this one starts on the evening of September the 18th. Right? So the actual official day is the 19th. Just like the other one, the actual official day was the 10th as far as our Gregorian calendar, and I may be confusing a little bit, but it's really important to note that it starts at the evening on September the 18th and goes into Wednesday, September the 19th. All right, let's go back and finish that one up. It said, as the Day of Atonement. Now, I don't want to get into much detail, but this is a very important day because the Day of Atonement is the next unfulfilled feast, and that is significant. But let's go on. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire. Like I said, I want to give another class, and we've given a few classes on these that you can find, but we're going to do one that kind of wraps all of them up, that what all of this means. Right. So, but we're talking about the dates here, and let's go on to the next one. It is the last feast of the year. Now, you won't see another feast again until Passover, which comes in the spring. This is the last one of the year. 34 says, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. Now, this is the last feast. And when is the 15th day of the month in 2018? I stress this because if you think that it's going to fall on September 23rd on 2019, you will be off, sometimes off by as close as a half a month, 15 days. You have to look it up every year. But this year falls on September the 23rd. All right. Now, I thought this was interesting, because September 23rd is one of man's favorite days. He loves that date. Every year he goes on watch looking for something big to happen on September the 23rd. Now, last year he did have something that happened on September 22nd, September 23rd, time frame, and that was the Revelations 12 sign in the sky. But I don't think it has much significance here because Atonement has not been fulfilled yet, so we're not really expecting a big event to happen on 9/23/2018 unless, things are, really speed up and we see an event on Atonement Day and on Tabernacles. It very well could happen, but we'd have to see something on Atonement Day first before we would go and watch for Tabernacles, right? But Tabernacles is a day that we will have this week-long feast, and it starts on Sunday and it goes all the way to Sunday the 30th, right? And like I said, we'll give another class on that. But September the 23rd, now look at this date. Matter of fact, let me just look at all of the dates here. I did make this little thing. All right, here they are, the holy feast days of the fall 2018. Now look at these dates. Don't they seem a little funny? I don't want like to get caught up on Gregorian dates, calendar dates, because they don't really mean anything until they correspond with a holy day. Now these corresponding with a holy day with dates like 9/9/18, 9/18/18, and even 9/23/18 to me seem kind of peculiar, kind of strange, kind of interesting. I wish I knew some guys that was heavy into numerology and that kind of thing, and I'd like to show it to them and see what they have to say about it. I just thought it was cute and by way of showing you these feast days. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Oh, and yeah, we planning on doing something around here during these days. If you want to help, be a part of the feast, help set up for the feast or anything like that, give us a shout. You're welcome. Hermes Academy. Power, patience, continence, and faith. We teach virtue.